Thou wilt shew me the path of life. In thy presence is fullness of joy. At thy right hand there are pleasures forevermore.
Abraham, what's the greatest thing there is, Abraham? He'd say life. No matter what anything else is, life is the greatest thing that anyone can achieve, is life. What would you give for life? I've got a book at home, and I believe it was wrote by Brother Nugent, chaplain from the prisons, and he gives the testimonies in this book of the great people that's died on earth, and from the time of Christ down. And he gives the testimony of the wicked great and the testimony of the spiritual great on the other side of the book.
Last words of the wicked great. Anton LaVey. The following is a true account of the last moments of Anton LaVey's life. He was the founder and high priest of the First Church of Satan, the author of the Satanic Bible, and the founder of LaVeyan Satanism. His whole life had been spent propagating satanic beliefs, establishing official organizations for Satanism, and at the end of his life, he realized that everything he had built was wrong. As he was on his deathbed, he went into shock and said, oh my, what have I done? There's something very wrong. There's something very wrong. There's something very wrong. Sir Thomas Scott. Sir Thomas Scott, the Chancellor of England, said the following on his deathbed. Until this moment, I thought there was neither a God nor a hell. Now I know and feel that they are both, and I am doomed to perdition by the just judgment of the Almighty. David Hume. David Hume, atheist philosopher who is famous for his philosophy of empiricism and skepticism of religion, cried loudly on his deathbed, I'm in flames. It is said, in his desperation, it was a horrific sin. Voltaire. Voltaire, famous anti-Christian atheist, said on his deathbed, I have swallowed nothing but smoke. I have intoxicated myself with the incense that turned my head. I'm abandoned by God and man. He said to his physician, I'll give you half of what I'm worth if you give me 6 months of life. When he was told this was not possible, he said, then I shall die and go to hell. His nurse said, for all the money in Europe, I wouldn't want to see another unbeliever die. All night long, he cried for forgiveness. Cecilia Borgia. Cecilia Borgia, the atheist statesman, said on his deathbed, during the course of my life, I have made provision for everything, but I forgot about death. Alas, I die unprepared. Bonaparte. Napoleon Bonaparte, the French emperor who, like Adolf Hitler, brought death to millions, said on his deathbed, I die before my time, yet my body will be given back to the earth. Such is the fate of who he has been called the great Napoleon. What an abyss between my deep misery and the eternal kingdom of Christ. Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhi at his death said, for the first time in 50 years, I find myself in slough of despond. All about me is darkness. I'm praying for light. King Charles IX. The French King Charles IX gave the order for the massacre of the French Huguenots, in which 15,000 souls were slaughtered in Paris alone and 100,000 in other sections of France, for no good reason other than that they loved Jesus Christ. The guilty king suffered miserably for years after that event. He eventually died, bathed in blood bursting from his veins. To his physicians, he said in his last words, asleep or awake, I see the mangled forms of the Huguenots passing before me. They drop with blood. They point at their open wounds. Oh, that I had spared at least the little infants at the bosom. What blood? I know not where I am. How will all this end? What shall I do? I'm lost forever. I know it. I have done wrong. For perspective, Compare these terrifying death experiences from the atheists with the last words from the saints of God. In 1 Corinthians 15, the Apostle St. Paul said, "Death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is thy sting?" Augustus Montague Toplady. Augustus Montague Toplady will ever be famous as the author of the most evangelical hymn of the 18th century, Rock of Ages. During his final illness, Toplady had this to say: "The consolations of God to so unworthy a wretch are so abundant that he leaves me nothing to pray for but their continuance." Near his death, awakening from sleep, he said, "Oh, what delights! Who can fathom the joy of the third heaven? The sky is clear, there is no cloud. Come, Lord Jesus, come quickly." He died saying, "No mortal can ever live after the glories which God has manifested in my soul."
I want you to believe. I want you to have faith. Don't doubt. Only believe. Now let's sing it. How many knew Paul Rader? Let's see your hands. Paul Rader, the great evangelist, wrote this song when he was dying out in California. I heard his story. He said, as he was leaving the earth, he said, "Where's Luke?" And they called Luke in. He held Luke by the hand, his brother. He said, "We've been through a many hard battles together, Luke." Said, "Yes." But said, "Think of it. In 5 minutes from now, I'll be standing in the presence of Jesus Christ, clothed in his righteousness." Bowed his head and gave up the spirit and went to be with God. Isn't that a way to die? And I said to him while I was there, I said, "Brother Bosworth, when was you the most happiest in all your Christian experience?" He said, "Right now, Brother Randall." And I said, "Do you realize that you are going?" He said, "Sure." And I said, "Why could you say that while you know that death is right on you now?" He said, "Brother Branham, all that I have stood for and lived for better than 50 years, I'm expecting him to walk in that door any minute to take me with him."
Those two big brown eyes looked up at me. She was so weak she couldn't say nothing. She was smiling. She took her fingers, she motioned. And I got down and she said, "Oh, why did you call me, honey?" And I said, "Well, I said, "I don't know." She said, "Oh, I was in another land." She said, "It was so peaceful, I wasn't suffering." She said, "Great big birds like a great orient." And she said, "There was man dressed in white, one on each side, taking me to my home." Oh, friend, there's a land somewhere. I believe as she was dying, her eyes just opened up to see paradise beyond.
And what did God do at Calvary to confirm the covenant? He took His own Son to Calvary, and on Calvary's cross, He tore Him apart. He said, "Father, into Thy hand I command my spirit."
Reporting for VogNet, Teresa Ramakina.